Hello, friends, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to today's live love up conversation. Whether you're joining me live or catching me on replay, it is a treat to spend some time with you. Let's get started.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Award-winning financial pro. Get ready. Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello, friends. I'm Winnie, your host, an award winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member and contributor as well. We're streaming here live on a whole bunch of different platforms. So jump in, say hello, let me know how your week's been going so far. We're in the middle of the week. Week's not over, and there's been so much news already. So let's jump in, let you know how the market is doing currently. Dow is down about 11 points. Now, I will tell you, it was actually down worse earlier, so that's good. Nasdaq's up 80 points and the S&P 500 is up a little bit over 9. So we've got about a little bit more than 20 minutes left to go before the market closes. So we'll definitely check back before the end of the show and let you know how that's going on. But let me just tell you, so much has been going on, so much news. It's almost hard to keep track, but not to worry. I'm here to kind of update you on some of the big pressing trending topics. Make sure that they're on your radar. Now, we want to start off, of course, talking about the financial markets and what's been happening. Now, this is being reported by Yahoo Finance, by CNBC as well, talking about some of the data that's been coming out this week. Of course, there's been some controversy regarding the private sector job growth, adding only about 37,000 jobs in May. And of course, we've seen, some volatility in the stock market. We're also seeing some indications of a multi-day rally, but investors are really kind of listening to what's going to be happening out of the Federal Reserve. Investors now are even hoping that potentially the Fed will be cutting rates. And why is that, you might say? Well, as you know, um, President Trump has been giving pressure saying that the Fed needs to move a little quicker. Well, there's also been some confusion and some controversy, like I mentioned earlier, about jobs here in the United States. In fact, there was a recent ADP report. ADP, as you know, is a big payroll provider. They actually sent a report, and they are saying that this actually shocked the financial markets because April's JOLT data painted sort of a steadier picture that job openings rose by 7.4 million, but that layoffs and quits show signs of shifting worker sentiment. Now, I would say this. I don't think everything's been flushed out yet, right? A lot of tariffs are on pause. Some tariffs even showed up last night. So things are very fluid. One day things could be great, the other day it's not so great. So understand a lot of this information that's coming out, you gotta just take this and take pause and take it with a grain of salt because it could change very, very quickly. Now, President Trump is slamming Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, like not physically slamming, but on on social media, saying that, well, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, although he said earlier that he's not going to get rid of him or fire him, but he's saying that he's trying to put some pressure on him publicly, calling him too late. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, he says it's always too late because he's saying that the Fed continues to hold firm on data-driven policy, despite that in President Trump's indication that things are better, and so therefore there should be changes in the interest rate arena. Now, there's continued to be more political pressure, but we'll see what the Fed chairman decides to do. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has committed to his independence and their independence and to make the decisions that are best on behalf of the American people. So this is something we'll just have to wait and see how that story unfolds. But yes, so as we mentioned before, President Trump, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, I would probably I'm banking the fact that they don't exchange Valentine's cards anytime soon. They probably don't even send each other Father's Day cards at that measure. But I don't think things are going to get better. But hopefully, things do get better for us here. Hopefully, some wisdom and collaboration because, well, there's been new tariffs on now steel and aluminum taking effect, contributing now to manufacturing slowdowns here in the United States. In fact, orders are down about 3.7% as there continue to be now renewed concern of whether the United States and China could really make a trade deal and come together and have a happy ending here. In fact, President Trump just this week called President Xi hard to deal with. So it doesn't look like the United States and China will be also exchanging Valentine's cards anytime soon. But hopefully they can have more transparent, open, a reasonable and productive discussion so we can come together and really exist harmoniously. I think that's something that all of us want, and that things get a little bit better rather than later. Now, there continues to be a lot of volatility in the area of technology names and stocks, so do know there's a lot of volatility there. If you are invested heavily into technology and you're not properly diversified, it's a really good idea to speak with a professional now and figure out ways that you can continue to be diversified and make sure that your risk tolerance is taken into account in your portfolio as well, because so many things are happening right now. And speaking of things that are happening right now, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably heard about the big, beautiful bill. Yes. In fact, a lot of people are talking about the big, beautiful bill, including the one and only Elon Musk, talking about this on social media. His version of True Social, which would be X, which previously was called Twitter. Now, this is being shared by CBS News, talking about how Elon Musk is blasting this spending bill. Absolutely does not like this. In fact, Elon Musk harshly criticizes President Trump's sweeping domestic policy bill, calling it, quote unquote, a disgusting abomination. And in fact, even accusing lawmakers who are backing this big, beautiful, in his probably his feeling that it's not that beautiful bill. He's even calling it a pork filled package. A pork filled package. Hmm, that's new. But I mean, I guess this is what makes news fodder, right? So this is things that is now being shown all over social media, and people are retweeting and giving answers and responses to it. But Elon has warned that this bill increases the federal deficit for us here, and that it undermines all the efforts of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, where he recently served before he stepped down as a special government employee. Now, supposedly he left the US government and his position as Doge, and supposedly it was harmonious, and he and his best buddy, President Trump, that everything was good. But maybe it's not going to be so good now that this is coming out. Or maybe, I don't know, I've also read this on social media that maybe this is another tactic. I don't know. You'll be the judge of that. But some Republicans are now also confirming Elon Musk's concerns, including Senators Rand Paul, Ron Johnson, Mike Lee, and others, saying that this is going to, cause problems, and it wasn't what they were hoping for. In fact, House Speaker Mike Johnson, on the flip side, is dismissing Elon Musk's critique. And he's saying that he's just unhappy because of the cuts to the electric vehicle tax credits, which would affect Elon's Tesla business, and calling Elon Musk's public statements disappointing. So I think it's fair to say that not everybody in the Republican Party, as of right now, really is seeing eye to eye. But nonetheless, this is what's happening. Elon Musk is not happy. And then there was talk about how Elon Musk was using drugs during his time as a Doge chief. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I just reading this on social media and as well some news articles as well. So despite missing the $1 trillion savings goal that Doge had, they definitely said that the reforms that Doge did leave a lasting impact. So, of course, we don't really know the whole story unless you were part of Doge or you were in the White House at the time. But we're being told, like, it almost sounds like when couples get divorced, right? That we appreciate the our need giving us privacy, but that we are leaving as friends. Doesn't that sound all a little familiar in what's happening with Elon Musk and President Trump? Yeah, kind of sounded like that too to me. The White House insists that Elon left on good terms and that he will continue to still advise President Trump. Although I will say Elon has on Twitter slash X mentioned that he thinks that maybe some of his political contributions are going to be behind him. So only time will tell. But yeah, that's what's happening. A big hello and welcome to Sadiq. It is great to see you. I'm sorry. To hear well, Sadiq is saying that Elon Musk had a black eye. I didn't know this. Well, if you see the picture, I guess you can tell me what the story behind that is. Nonetheless, let's continue on. Let's talk about inflation, right? Today is a day of joy. No, I'm kidding. There's actually some good stuff in here too. But let's talk about inflation. US companies here in the United States are raising prices on not only tariffed items that cost more now, but also on unrelated goods. I mean, this is common sense. If you are a small business owner or you're a large company lead, right? And maybe your products don't necessarily get impacted by tariffs, but you might be trying to hedge and making sure that you're going to be okay later on if that changes. And if everything else price wise is going up, you might actually decide to raise prices yourself. Now, I know there's some companies out there that said, absolutely, I'm going to try to absorb some of these costs. I'm going to try to keep my costs at the same levels for the American public. But that's not everybody. In fact, US companies are now raising prices not only on tariff items, but also on unrelated goods using consumer expectations of inflations to boost margins. In fact, a New York Fed survey found that, get this, 75% of firms are now passing on tariff costs to us, the consumer. Many of them are also increasing prices on untariffed products, echoing trends that happened in between 2018 to 2020 during the trade war. Now, manufacturers, of course, are facing a lot of delivery delays, or there obviously a lot of their raw goods and input costs are going higher. Shipping times are now a lot longer and also very, very expensive, or getting much more expensive, which isn't unlike what we saw in the beginning of the pandemic. A lot of those bottlenecks that we saw back then, well, that's some of that's actually happening right now. Nearly half of firms report profit losses. Some are laying off workers. We're seeing a lot of that across the board, and many companies are also postponing making more research and development investments because they're just not sure what's going to happen with tariffs. In fact, a lot of companies such as Ford are halting production due to some of the concerns about imports and exports and everything in between. They said a lot of smaller firms, in fact, are hit very, very hard. Now, speaking of one area, though, I also wanted to put on your radar is I know some of you have messaged and contributed on this show talking about how you're sort of on the sidelines waiting for housing prices to come down a little bit. So hopefully you're able to maybe buy your first home, or perhaps you're able to, buy income property or something like that. Or maybe you're even trying to, you know, I don't know. Maybe you're even trying to just create a complete real estate empire. Whatever it may be, you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for real estate prices to get lower. And they probably haven't been to a point where you are completely satisfied. And certainly, we haven't seen the mortgage rates get to a place where it's a little bit more attractive for you as well. But get this, the US housing market right now might just be more attractive to you. Now, this is being shared by Redfin. As you know, Redfin is where you can go and search for a lot of the real estate inventory. There's been a record breaking imbalance. They're saying nearly 500,000 more home sellers are on the Redfin platform versus buyers here in the United States. So a record 34% gap, which now tips the market firmly in the buyer's favor. That's right. So Redfin is predicting actually a 1% drop in home prices by year's end due to oversupply and reduced demand on real estate, with buyers being able to negotiate made a better deal. And now that they're saying this negotiation power actually is shifting. In fact, 31 of the 50 largest US metros are now buyers markets. with Miami, Florida leading in that pact. Now, one area that has been hit extremely hard has been the condo market. Now, condo markets, especially, are quite lopsided, 83% more sellers than buyers nationwide. Now, I will say this, if you're looking to purchase your first home and you're not sure where to start, definitely seek out professional advice. Find a trusted realtor or broker in your space, because typically a lot of first time home buyers will go towards condos. But my parents have been in real estate forever and ever, and there's always been the guideline that if you can, you're better off buying the smallest house that you can, single family residence, versus a condo, because typically condos have more HOA fees and other things that you need to make sure that you take into account. Now, why sellers are surging, you might be asking. Well, pandemic era homeowners are actually giving up ultra low interest rates due to life changes, and high interest rates are no longer as shocking as they were to us in 2022. So tariffs, inflation, job instability, all these things are scaring off buyers. Buyers just don't feel comfortable. They're not feeling very secure living where they live or being in the United States. They're just feeling like, well, I could lose my job quickly. So I just want to make sure that I'm going to be okay and I have mobility. And I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of people do feel that way, that having mobility is a valuable thing to have right now. And in fact, I just spoke to a longtime friend this week who is now moving out of state. Just saying that, just things just feel different right now. They want to make different changes and make decisions. And you might be in that position as well. And so a lot of people are just not sure where they're going to be and whether or not they want to commit to such a large purchase, such as a home. Now, speaking of changes, this is another one that I want to make sure that's on your radar. We talk a lot about artificial intelligence on this show, but I want to segue over to health a little bit. So, many of people that I'm talking to that are younger are concerned about what AI is going to do to the future of their jobs, their work, their income. But also, I've been talking to some doctors, and just you would think that doctors wouldn't be so concerned about artificial intelligence, right? They're going to always have value. They're going to be able to talk to patients. They're going to, like my friend, one of my best friends is a surgeon. You would think that they would be okay. But now, with the development of artificial intelligence, a lot of things are starting to evolve very quickly. But here's some news that just came out that was going to probably put some patients on pause. The FDA's AI initiative, well, it's hit sort of a bump in the road. The FDA's new tool, AI tool called CDRH GPT, which is designed to speed up medical device reviews, is unfortunately, they say, buggy, offline, and just even unable to perform the most basic of functions, such as document uploads or accurate data summarization, which just goes to show you that if you're a young person looking for a future, maybe be able to troubleshoot AI technology and tools might be, advantageous, an area to look into. So, after massive layoffs at the HHS, HHS, and the FDA, well, now they're short on support staff, which leaves reviewers overburdened as the agency is trying to meet the ambitious June 30th AI rollout deadline. Doesn't look like it's going that well right now. Hopefully, they can get things fixed. But yeah, it does look like right now there's still a lot of concerns about ethics and accuracy concerns, or whether even technology can work that well. But I think it's fair to say that although AI is certainly here and just growing and evolving more quickly each and every day, there's still a lot of bumps in the road. And there's still opportunities for those who want to take advantage of opportunities. So just pay attention to that. And I think it's important, whatever industry you're at, make sure you follow this news of what's happening with your industry with artificial intelligence, so you can be on top of it. And so you can plan your business or your life or your job to make sure you can stay relevant. And most importantly, support yourself financially and make sure that your income doesn't stop, right? Now, speaking of that, I wanted to talk about another thing that came out of the FDA. And I see CrossX Fighter. It is wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. I want to share another story that came out of today, the Today Show, and their today's website. Well, there's a big FDA warning right now. It's actually a class one recall alert, which actually is the most serious level. I want to make sure you know about this because some of you are joining me from states such as Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Well, this is the FDA's most serious level warning, and this is for tomatoes that were potentially contaminated with salmonella in these different states. So, Williams Farms has a recall. Now, 9 packaging types, all labeled with different lot codes. You want to go on their website to find what these are. You can check out Farms Repack LLC, look them up. So far, no illnesses have been reported, which is a great thing. But as of now, they are saying that these recalled tomatoes could have serious health risks, especially with kids and children, elderly, and those with weakened immune systems. They said people could even die from the salmonella. So it's really important that if you purchase these products, that you absolutely do not eat them, dispose of them, or return them to the store. And then there's contact phone numbers for each company so that that you can reach out and get more information on that. But be really cautious. Take a look at the tomatoes if you have them in the fridge and just make sure they're okay. And then if you're not sure the source of them, definitely give a call to wherever you purchase them from. And hopefully they can give you some information on that. Now, speaking of seniors, let's also segue a little over to travel. There's been some travel updates, and I want to make sure that these are on your radar as well. This is one that we sort of talked about a little bit, but now it's expanding. Uber, we know Uber, Lyft probably isn't too far behind. Well, Uber is now like upping their platform for seniors. It's going national. After a very successful pilot, they said in Phoenix and Orlando, Uber is now going to make a simplified app for older adults. And this is going to be available across the United States with global rollouts expected next. But this is what's cool. The new design is going to show larger text, right? I know this is actually gonna be helpful. My mom, like, I'm sure she's gonna love having larger text. Fewer stops as well. That's a great thing. And frequent destinations such as home or doctor's office, you can actually save those for easy access, making it much easier for you to call reliable transportation for seniors. Now, people like ourselves, family members, can even invite a senior to join Uber's family profile, which triggers simplified view, and users can activate simple mode directly via the app under their accessibility settings. This is something that you'll probably want to help someone set up. But they're saying that 1 in 6 people worldwide is going to be over the age of 60 by 2030. Can you believe that's in 5 years? So, tech savvy services really do need to evolve and just meet the needs of aging populations. And Ubers like Uber and Lyft are really increasing accessible features, even access to things like accessible vehicles, support from self-driving partner May mobility as well. So I think it's a good thing. Yeah, so that's one thing that to pay attention to. So if you're looking to learn more about that, definitely do a quick Google search, so you can figure out the quick how to invite a senior onto this platform. But I think that's helpful because not all of us live close to our parents or grandparents, and this is a way that we can help them make sure that they can get to where they need to get to, right? All right. This next story, unfortunately, is something that I'm not too keen about, but I'm curious to see what you think about this. This is being shared by Business Insider, Pete Smythe, talking about how the airline industry, well, major U.S. airlines such as United, American, Southwest Airlines, and manufacturers such as Boeing and Airbus are now protesting a proposed credit card reform that they said could end frequent flyer rewards programs. I know this is one that I do not like at all because, as you know, I love to travel and I love to use points and miles when I travel. And to think that this could, cease to exist, just not good, not good. But the Durbin Marshall Amendment tied to the crypto focused Genius Act is looking to lower swipe fees for credit card usage and increase credit card competition. But airlines, many travel and other travel properties and whatnot are warning that with this, if that's the case, and this could decimate loyalty programs as it is. In fact, they said in 2023 alone, airline credit cards generated about $25 billion in economic activity. Now, more than half of all miles earned came from credit card usage and not flying. So people are building loyalty, myself included, by spend and not necessarily getting on the plane. Now, airlines are saying that cutting rewards programs could lead to fewer flights, job losses, and reduced plane orders. And this could affect pilots and flight attendants and even Boeing factory workers. So we'll see how that occurs. But the amendment's backers are saying that this Durbin amendment could save $15 billion annually for consumers and merchants who currently pay over $100 billion in swipe fees. I mean, at the end of the day, here's what I will say. We know this. If you're going to be taking advantage of credit card um, travel rewards, points, miles, or things like that, you need to commit to paying your credit card bill off in full each and every month with no skipping, no oops, none of that. Now, if that's the case, then you're really not paying as much. You're getting the benefits, but there, unfortunately, there's enough people that do keep a balance, that do have to pay interest, and the fees are high, right? And so, who pays the swipe fees? Let's be honest, it's a consumer, and so it is ways that these different amendments are trying to lower that cost, but with it can also take away some of those perks that you like as well. So we'll see how that unfolds, and I'll continue to keep you updated. I hear more about that, but I just thought I would share that with you. Now, the market's closed currently. The Dow's down 91 points. Yes, not a good thing, but it's down 91 points. The NASDAQ closed up positive, up 61 points. S&P 500 ended up in positive, but not even up a full 1 point. So there's that. But thank you so much, my friends, for being a part of Level Up Live. A huge thank you to Siddiq and Joshua for their comments in today's show. It's always a treat to see them both. And thank you so much for your support. If you like this show, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe to stay updated on all the latest insights and whenever I come live here with you. And to catch full episodes, past episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun, you can check out NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, and Roku. And when sharing an episode online, thank you so much for tagging at Winnie Sun. I so appreciate it, and I see them, and they mean a lot to me. And with that, I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.